a reproductive cycle, just to provide a nurturing environment for a new life to prosper. How kind! We know very well that during follicular phase, if ovum and sperm fuse, the menstrual cycle stops and fertilization occurs. So, let's see how these shifts occur in the female reproductive system. So, students, let us begin with fertilization. Fertilization is the fusion of sperm with an egg. But there is so much more to this side of the story. After copulation, the motile sperms swim rapidly, pass through the cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach the ampullary isthmic junction. You will be surprised to know that the ovum needs to be transported at the same time to the same junction of the fallopian tube. This is the reason why not all copulation leads to fertilization and pregnancy. Now let us see what changes take place when a sperm comes in contact with the egg. First of all, sperm comes in contact with the outer layer of the egg, that is, zona pellucida, and induces some changes in the membrane that blocks the entry of any additional sperm. In this way, only one sperm fuses with the egg. Isn't it interesting? Simultaneously, acrosome of the sperm secretes some acids that help sperm enter into the egg cytoplasm. And at this point, the second meiotic division in the secondary oocyte gets completed, and a second polar body and a haploid ovum or ootid is formed. Now attached, the sperm's nucleus, where the chromosomes are stored, enters the egg cell looking for the egg's nucleus. Once it meets the egg, the nuclei from the egg and the sperm merge and share their genetic material. This is what we know as fertilization. If all this goes well, the fertilized egg becomes a zygote. The egg now contains all the genetic material it will need to become a person. Do you know how sex of a baby is determined? At the instant of fertilization, baby's genes and sex are set. If the sperm has a Y chromosome, the baby will be a boy. If it has an X chromosome, the baby will be a girl, because the female parent have two X chromosomes only. So, XX makes a girl and XY makes a boy. The story of human life is so much more complex than what meets the eye. Yes, that's why it is equally important to include implantation in our conversation. So, what is implantation? Well, implantation refers to the attachment of the fertilized egg to the uterine lining, which occurs approximately 6 or 7 days after fertilization. So, now let us understand about implantation. The fertilized egg stays in the fallopian tube for about 3 to 4 days. But within 24 hours of being fertilized, it starts dividing fast into many cells. And this is called as cleavage. Cell division continues as it moves slowly through the fallopian tube to the uterus. Its next job is to attach to the lining of the uterus, and this is called as implantation. From the moment of fertilization until the 8th week of pregnancy, the developing human is called an embryo. First, it divides into two cells. Then they each divide again to give four cells. The process of cell division is repeated many times until a solid ball of cells called a morula is produced after about 3 days. As the cells in the morula continue to divide, they begin to move towards the outer edges of the ball until it becomes a hollow ball of cells called the blastocyst at about 5 days after fertilization. The outer layer of the blastocyst is called the trophoblast, and inner layer is known as the inner cell mass. The attachment of the blastocyst to the uterine wall marks the beginning of pregnancy. All in all, it's a long and complicated journey, nevertheless, an amazing one. But hold on, this is just the beginning of an epic story of human life. There are so many waiting to be explored in our upcoming modules. Until then, why don't you give it a rest or just appreciate the beauty of life? After all, it's worth the time and effort, isn't it?